Hey, what's going on, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers? Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. I'm your host, Kendell Liden, and the title of today's episode is Comfort Zone Equals Danger Zone. And really, that's just such a key principle in what I've found in growth and in business and what we're doing here at the brokerage and what I've done in my personal investments. Every time I grow stagnant in my comfortability, that's when I stop growing, right? And so when we stop growing, we pretend like, so let's just, if you look at this, for example, I was just having a conversation with somebody this week. He was telling me about a story a few years ago where he went through some health stuff. And so he ended up in a hospital bed for a couple of weeks and his muscles began to atrophy. They began to, dwindle and grow smaller. And once he left the hospital after being bedridden for weeks, he showed me a picture and it was crazy because you could see like physically the before and the after and how much change had happened as his muscles had began to deteriorate during that time. It's so important for us to remember that if we're not growing forward, often that means that we're falling backwards. We don't typically stay right in the same spot. So we're either moving forward or we're going backwards. And a lot of times, what I found is that comfort zone. Sometimes that comfort zone is in a place where we're just kind of chugging along and things are going good. But if we stay in that comfort zone too long, we tend to start moving backwards. And so, if you're in a phase of your life, you're in a time of your building where you're thinking, how do I push that needle forward? How do I grow aggressively? How do I continue to push into the future? Then maintaining your comfort zone is probably one of the most dangerous things that you could do for your growth and your business. From a personal note, I realize that it's really starting to become a time to start posting a lot. But you know what? One of the funny thing is about posting is I realized after posting that it made me really uncomfortable. Even last week, I talked about that feeling of being self-conscious about what I had posted, putting myself out there like that. And so, actually, I've been posting almost every morning now, putting something out there and being very intentional about not just posting something vague, but actually being very personal, very open and raw and real with what I put out there to get out of my comfort zone. I even had a post last week where I faced this head on. I was like, something I realized about myself is that posting makes me uncomfortable. So I went ahead and went into all those things that made me uncomfortable. I said, I'm not 30. I haven't hit $1 million. I haven't hit, different life goals, different life things. I don't drive a brand new car. I don't this, I don't that, right? And I talked about all those places that I know that I fall short. That somebody could easily point at me and be like, you have no place to talk. You have no reason to be talking because of this, that, and the other. And here's what I would say. If somebody feels like I don't have a place to talk, then don't listen. I'm okay with that. I'm trying to provide value for those people who feel like there's something to gain out of the words that I'm saying. So, then at the backside of that post, I did put, though, what I'm confident in. Here's the things that I do know. Here's the places where I do know that I'm strong. Here's the places that I do know that I excel. And I put a whole list about that. Because here's the thing, humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's just thinking of yourself less. So you don't have to lower your value. You just have to be able to think about other people more often. And that's what it means to be humble. That a pastor told me that one time. I was like, I think that that is awesome. Another thing a pastor told me was meekness is strength under control. It's not weakness, right? So how can we have strength under control? Can we think about ourselves less in order to provide more value to others? And that's one of the things that I feel like is one of my strengths. And so I can lean into that. But again, comfort zone equals danger zone. So the second that I noticed, oh, posting makes me uncomfortable, I had two choices. I could either run away from that feeling of uncomfortability or I could push into it. It was very hard, difficult because it was so uncomfortable to push into it, but I recognized this is a place that I must need to grow because if I didn't need to grow here, I wouldn't be uncomfortable. This would already be a comfort zone. And that huge honesty post, honestly, it felt so great. Now, let me tell you guys a couple of real estate updates. From a marketing perspective, we just kicked off a massive build out for our social media ads campaign, which I'm super excited about. I talked about it a little bit last week with William Hagman and the social agent, partnering up with them to build that out for us. So Hopefully, in about 2 to 3 weeks, that is going live. 3 weeks max, that's going live from this week. So I guess when you guys watch this, there should be max like 2 weeks left on the clock. So I'm super excited to get that out and to the market and be able to start generating more leads for the brokerage. It was really cool. When you guys read this, I guess it'll be last week, but we had 2 interviews come in that are just trickling in now from our agents who are excited about what's happening here at AmbitionX Real Estate, and they're posting it on their social medias, and their realtor friends are seeing that, engaging. They're wanting to come in and be a part of it. So it's cool to start seeing some of that organic growth coming out of what we're building here. And it's just so exciting to see the agents having so much success, being so happy here, and the environment that's been created with all the different personality types that they're posting about it and wanting other people to join them. Another really cool thing that we are launching as a real estate brokerage is the one-time deal maker. Now, this was kind of a twinkle of an idea that I had many weeks ago when I was putting together the website. It was funny, actually. It came because I was building the website, and we put out there, we had, we can do the full cash offer thing. And then I said we could do like the traditional thing. And immediately as I'm sitting here at the website, I'm like, oh, this is just, I wish we had a third option. Like, I wish we had something else we could offer. As I'm sitting here looking at our website, just looked lopsided to only have two. And I thought, man, what's something I could put in the middle? What is a middle ground between a cash offer and that traditional offer? And that really is what the one-time deal maker is all about. And it's been so exciting to see the idea grow and evolve over the coming weeks into actually being something that we've implemented, put out there in the market. We actually have our official first one-time deal maker showing, which will be happening on the day that this recording comes out. So the first time ever, and honestly, I think it's going to, I know, be a powerful instrument within the real estate market. But we also believe that if it catches on well, it could totally change the way that real estate is done, being that middle ground between the investment side and that traditional side. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out, and I'll keep you guys updated over the coming weeks from our results of the one-time deal maker. But essentially what it is, if I were to just really easily break it down, we have a listing agreement in place with the seller, but then outside of that, it's very similar to the wholesale process. We create a lot of hype. We really blast it out there that it's a really, really great price. It's for that seller who they need to sell fast, but just going with like one single deep cash offer, it's just a little bit too low. It's that middle ground for them, right? So now we can bring in other people, and we might find a rental buyer. We might find somebody who's a traditional buyer. They just want a house that needs some TLC, that can offer a little bit more to get closer, even above what that seller needs as far as a payout goes. But then they can be just kind of that in between. They're also able to close quickly. They don't have to do tons of showing. It's just a one-time big group thing, and we can get the seller truly the best value possible for their house. So that's very exciting. Also, within the AmbitionX Real Estate Brokerage, we've had some growing pains. But growing pains means that we're pushing out of our comfort zone. That means we're moving away from the danger zone. So that's good. But there have been growing pains. So as we're pushing the different product types and we're growing out the different teams, Billy's doing great. Scott's doing great in their new roles. I remember with Artie and you guys probably remember this if you watched the previous episodes, when we were building out the sell team, there were growing pains. Now, a lot of that's leveled out. A lot of that's way, way more stable. It's just something I have to keep telling myself now as we're going through similar kind of growing pains on purchase side. And I know as we start dumping leads in, we're going to have the same thing on leads. We have to go through the growing pains in order to grow, right? It's just a part of the process. So we've had marketing growing pains. We've had purchase. That was been like another thing. We had the purchase growing pains. Marketing's been interesting as, really at this time, there's not a defined leader of marketing outside of really me kind of keeping an eye on things. But, it's been interesting because one of the things that I've noticed is with those strong personality types that make great leaders, they also want to lead independently, which is so fantastic. But then for me as like that, very independent leader, I like to have control too. It's like, it's really testing me of, can I let go for someone else to take a hold of it and be able to grow it right into something even better than what I had planned. It's me having to be humble enough to go, I might not know how to do everything. I cannot be the best at everything. there's definitely going to be people out there who can do things better than I can. Can I let go and let those people thrive? Can I let go of the control? Can I be humble enough to say, hey, maybe somebody else out there can do this better than me and let someone else thrive? I don't know if it's a personality thing. I don't know if it's just a general human thing. It's been something that I have struggled with, but inside of me, again, pushing out of other comfort zones, that's been a comfort zone that I'm trying to push myself out of, letting other people grow. And then if somebody else makes a decision that I disagree with, and then it and ends up being something that causes us pain, not having an I told you so moment, but coming together as a team to work through that issue. Just being okay with doing that stuff ahead of time. It's challenging me, but I remember one time I actually watched like a little short reel kind of thing when Jeff Bezos was talking about Amazon, and he talked about this very principle. He talked about how whenever they came to a point where, one of his lead team and him had a disagreement, he would say, okay, I tell you what, you seem really passionate about it. You're going to be the one running this project. Let's do it your way. And he said, if it went great, fantastic. If it went sour, he did not ever go back with an I told you so moment. He said that he would turn around and they would figure out how to work their way through that problem. And maybe they would even revisit an earlier conversation and go back down the other path. I think about that for myself. Whether that played out in reality, I don't know. That's just what I heard from Jeff Bezos as he was talking about himself and his leadership style. I thought it was really great leadership style. Now the rubber's hitting the road. I'm faced with it myself. Can I actually apply that in my life and in my leadership style? I'm being challenged with it, but I am trying to do so. Where I let other people lead, I let other people take the reins, I let them take control and responsibility. And to be honest with you, at the end of the day, one of the reasons I like leading from that perspective more than anything else is because at the end of the day, it's going to be their job to clean up the situation if it goes sideways. And so I think, man, worst case would be I force them to do it my way. My way is incorrect. It breaks, and now they have to go clean up my mess. So I would much rather us be able to brainstorm together, collaborate on an idea, and then ultimately let them make the final decision. So that way, if something does go sideways, I hope it doesn't, but if something goes sideways, because things with people generally just do go sideways as we have those learning curves, as we have those growing pains. So when stuff comes up, then it's their idea and they can figure out how to overcome those hurdles. And I can always be here to brainstorm and help work through those different things. On the stock side of things, I'm going to kind of switch tracks here, moving from real estate into stocks. I think what we decided to do is leave $10,000 in the market, and we're going to bring $30,000 back in cash in case we need it for a rental. As you know, this has been a huge talking point over the last few weeks of which direction do we go, what do we do, and where do we, leave our funds. And ultimately, especially when you look at the Dave Ramsey principle, the idea of putting money in the market is I don't need to touch that money for the next 5 years. I just don't know for certain that I will not need to touch the money for a rental over the next 5 years. And so that's why we actually decided, hey, we're going to set $30,000 aside in cash. We're going to put it in a high yield savings account on top of our emergency fund. And so that way, if something happens, if there's a major break on the trailer, if one of the ACs go out, if something happens this summer, or we're just like, we can no longer take this anymore, the pain has just become too great, we have the ability to be able to move on. One, there's a lot of concerns with the market having a major pullback. I have some concerns with the market still having a major pullback to come. And so that's part of the reasoning for that. But then the other part is I really could see scenarios where we have to tap into that money shorter than 5 years. And I don't want to have to take a loss on it just because of timing, right? Because I have to pull that money back out. So I'm confident that if we leave 10,000 in there, that we're good with that. We can have $30,000 out in cash. Plus, we have our emergency fund. I think we'll have plenty of buffer. That'll leave us with about one lot of SPLG, about $6,400 price point on that trade. And then we have our two lots of BITO, which has about a $3,700 cost basis. So it's a little over 10,000. It's like 10,100, 10,200, somewhere in that range, but right about $10,000. And then we've got the rest that we can store up for cash. Some of the last few notes that I wanted to talk about in today's episode is I was actually asked to lead Financial Peace University in the fall at my church. As you guys know, this is something that I've wanted to do for a while. I had to pass on the opportunity in the spring. Now I'm coming to this place, they're asking me, and I'm like, man, I just don't know. I don't know if it's within my bandwidth. I don't know if it's something that I should take on, especially with the brokerage growing. It needs my attention. But then at the same time, I think about we have a really powerful leadership team here. If we get the right leadership team going up there, and then we can, utilize the leadership resource we have here to supplement up there where it's not just me having to do all the things. Again, something I'm learning as a leader. Would that open up my bandwidth to be able to make an impact in that way, in that area? Because honestly, that's what I love to do. Like when I think about what lights me up in the morning, building systems and processes in these machines, to me, it's just a means to an end. The thing that lights me up is actually having those one-on-one moments or having those group coaching moments where I can pour into somebody and they have breakthrough, right? They have that aha moment. They're able to experience greater in their life because I had maybe something that I had learned that I could pass along, and it poured some sort of value into somebody else's life. That to me is one of the most exciting, empowering things that I can do. So then thinking that, and that being like, okay, well, this is one of the things that I'm good at and I really enjoy. How can I push more into that, because that what fills my tank up? And how can I continue to pull more and more out of the administrative day-to-day tasks, just pushing the ball forward on different things, because that's what drains my tank, right? And so that way I feel more invigorated and more excited every day to come to work because I'm doing the work that I love to do. And I've really been thinking alongside that, what do I want my life balance to look like in, the back half of 2025 as we continue to see more stability in the brokerage, 2026 as we continue to see more stability in the brokerage. I know that building a brand and a presence around the Wealthy Legacy Journey and the brokerage is going to be really powerful and important, but how busy do I want to get in doing that, right? And that's kind of been my big question that I've been thinking on lately. It's been a really crazy busy year. I mean, there is days where I'm answering, questions and messages from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And it's like, do I really want to jump straight into like another busy season of doing a bunch of different speaking stuff, or do I want to let this kind of just grow out slowly over time? With that, I could argue both sides. On one hand, it's like, okay, well, the reason I want to take it slow is because that's comfortable. Well, like I just said in the title, comfort zone is equal to danger zone. But then at the same time, if I push myself too hard in too many different areas, I could also experience burnout. And that doesn't help anybody. So then I just kind of come to this place where I'm like, okay, how far is too far? And really, to be honest with you, I don't have to have an answer for that question right now because it's so far out in the future. Right now, I'm just thinking theoretically, what is it that I think I want my lifestyle to look like? How do I want to build my life? What seeds do I want to start planting today so that by the end of the year and by the beginning of 2026 and through 2026, those seeds are starting to sprout, turn into trees that I can cultivate to be able to produce fruit? What is it that I actually am going to have the bandwidth and the desire to take care of, where I'll be able to keep up with it long term? And what's some other stuff that I should just pass to somebody else or leave on the back shelf for now, maybe something that I can revisit later? So that's all the things that are going through my mind this week. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let's say our identity mantra as we close out today's episode, and everybody gets out of here. So I'll start first. You guys say it after me. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. And as a reminder, guys, the way we define wealth here at the Wealthy Legacy Journey is simply the ability to cover your monthly expenses without having to lift a finger. And legacy, we define that as the leaving a long-lasting impact on others who come after you as they receive the fruit of your labor, whether that fruit be good or bad. So remember, plant good seeds, cultivate good trees, and you will produce good fruit. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure that you click the thumbs up, like, subscribe. It really helps the algorithm and it helps our channel grow. Also, as a reminder, in the description description, we have some Google Docs, links to books and other resources and quotes and cool things like that that have been a positive impact to me in my wealthy legacy journey, as well as our wealth health checkup spreadsheet. With all that said, guys, this has been another episode dedicated to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. So go out there, simply take the right next step today, and I absolutely cannot wait to hear your success stories. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, everybody.